I'm hoping that they'll be able to get more aggressive, and some of these tariffs will start to reduce, and they can reduce their underwriting and reduce the amount of expense for insurance, and get some of the folks back to not being scared to put claims through and get their cars fixed.
Welcome back to another episode of the Collision Vision driven by Auto Body News. I'm your host, Cole Strandberg. Today, on the eve of SEMA, we're continuing our SEMA series, and we're joined by somebody who's not only scaled his business brilliantly, but he's done so by making smart partnerships, by staying true to culture, and embracing growth with a purpose. Please welcome back for a second time, Paul Williams, CEO of Brightpoint Auto Body. Since his last time on the show, Breitpoint has expanded its footprint significantly, by my count, by over 700%. It's refined its strategy, and it's positioned itself for what's next in collision repair. In this conversation, we'll talk about how to grow with intention, how the right financial and operational relationships make a difference, what's on Paul's radar at SEMA, and how he sees the future of our industry unfolding, and how we tackle the current headwinds we're facing. Enjoy the show. Paul Williams, thank you for once again joining us here on the Collision Vision.
Thanks, Cole, for having me. It's a pleasure.
Man, it's been a little while since we had you, and we have some really fun updates because it is an entirely different situation than it was at that point in time. I just re-listened to that episode and that conversation. We're going to include that in the show notes, so you guys listening can see this evolution happen back to back in real time. If you don't remember this episode, at that time, you had 3 brands and 5 locations. So this is going way back. I want to get to where we are today, but before we do that, give us a kind of a viewpoint on who you are. What has your journey looked like, and how have you arrived to where you are and where Breitpoint is today?
Yeah, thanks, Cole. It's been an awesome journey, to be completely honest. And it's fascinating as well. We've had some tremendous growth, and lucky enough for us, we've had the pleasure and the opportunity to acquire some great businesses all over the U.S. And continue our growth and footprint throughout. And it's just been a lot of fun. And to be honest with you, it's been quite humbling to be where we are today from where we were. I think it's almost been less than 18 months, truthfully. So it's just been fantastic, and we're excited. We'll just keep growing.
Man, you're on site at an acquisition today, or at least in town for an acquisition today. You guys are rocking and rolling. Tell us about where Breitpoint is today.
Yeah, Brightpoint today, we just wrapped up our 36 location. We just wrapped up one. It's in Marietta, Georgia. This will give us our 4th location in this market, which is really exciting. We were on site yesterday in another state. We'll get the press release and the announcement on that, but we acquired 3 and did the announcement yesterday. They officially will close November 12th. So we're excited for that. And the organization is just a fantastic group, and just a great team of operators. So looking forward to that.
Man, so cool. Such tremendous growth. And before we dive into some of the mechanics behind that, I think folks listening are, how the heck are you doing it? And we'll talk about the financial structure and your partnerships there, but more so, how are you differentiating yourself? Every one of these acquisitions, I imagine, have gotten acquisition interest from somebody in the past. If they hadn't, you probably wouldn't be buying them because they're not getting that interest. How are you different from everyone else, and how is that message resonating with potential sellers?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. We tend to have a pretty strong pipeline. A lot of our opportunities are coming from, single shop owners who have been in the business for 30 to 40 years, right? They don't typically have that generational, that son or son-in-law to take over that business. And so what they're doing is they're looking for, great family-owned, operated businesses that are going to take care of their people. And that's what we thrive on at Brightpoint is, we've always been a big promoter of our employees. I mean, we still value them as the most important asset to our business today is our teammates and our people. And that's, one of our most basic and most important assets of Brightpoint. I tell people all the time, it's so funny. I'm like, we're like, oh, what do you do? You're in the auto body industry, collision repair. And I'm like, I'm in the people business, and we fix cars at the same time, but we take care of people, and that's number one. And as long as we do that and stay true to ourselves and our teammates and our partners, everything seems to just fall in line with you, because technically you're leading from the front, and they're working right alongside you. So our motto at Brightpoint is nobody works for anybody. We work together.
Love it, man. Love it. Love it. Sounds like a fantastic culture. And not to pop quiz you, but just to finish laying the foundation here, what markets are you guys in today?
Yeah, we are across, we're from west all the way Midwest to the east. I mean, we're right now currently in 12 states. And our footprint and the way we do things is we'll go into, I'll back up. When I had the pleasure of working at Gerber, I was able to view the whole country, right, as a whole. And so we would know, you'd look at it and go, these are really good markets that you can do really good business in. The people are great to work with. The labor laws are great. It's just a good business-oriented state. And so we've had the pleasure of understanding where those are. And that's where we strategically place shops now. And we'll go in with a beachhead, whether that might be one location or two, but it will have a pipeline of 3 or 4 or 5 right behind it of singles. Sure. And we'll go in and acquire that local family business that's 40 years in town, that, their name is on the little league field down the street, and they're a big supporter of the community. And those are the businesses that we like to partner with and maintain that legacy throughout.
And just to clarify, I think another differentiator here is you do keep regional brands in that hub model. Is that right?
That's correct.
So how many brands are you operating today?
Currently, we can name them if you want.
Let's do it, man. I know I'm sitting here pop quizzing to see if you can remember all 12 states. And geez,
it's like a geographical test every time somebody asks me where we're at in what state. But currently we just closed our 4th location in Idaho and in the Boise market. We've got 2 locations in Utah, just outside of Salt Lake City. So in the Boise market, we have 2 locations branded Urea Auto Body. We have a location called Capital Auto Body, and then Franklin Auto Body. And then obviously in Utah, we have 2. One is Dent Master, and that is a special location. It's probably one of the only locations that has a RV booth to do RV repairs and tall vans and things like that. So that's a great location. And then we have Valet Auto Body in Salt Lake, and we've got 2 in Henderson, Nevada, and we are literally just about to get the final permit on our 3rd location in Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, called Frank's North, which is going to be a great location. It's fully air conditioned, so as you could imagine, in Vegas, that's a hot commodity for a body shop. So we've got one in Bossier City, Red River Collision. And then we have Friendship that is in the Atlanta market. There's 3 of those. We just acquired Ricky's Collision in Marietta today, actually. That is wrapping up this afternoon. And then in Tennessee, we've got Custom Collision, 2 of those. First Choice in Dover. And then we also have a Joel's Auto Body just outside of Nashville in Dixon, Tennessee. We've got Stonewall Collision, and there's 16 of those, and they run throughout Michigan, Ohio, Maryland, PA. And then we have a location called Isom Collision that's in Virginia. So there you go.
Love it. I mean, you talk about differentiation, and there are groups out here doing this today. I think it's cool for folks, especially who care about that legacy preservation as much as anything. You're doing that. You're offering that. You're taking advantage of these brands, the reputation among the community. I think it's a great differentiator. Not right for all, but right for plenty. So Real quick, before we dive into more about the business today, your strategy, your perspective on the market, because it is a very interesting time, I think, in our industry. Set the stage for us about your role at Gerber and how many shops and people were you overseeing, and what made you kind of look to take that next step in your career as a CEO?
Yeah, I think in the first one, I think we ran through this a little bit, and I still tell this almost every day. I think about it. When I joined Gerber from a small family-owned business, I say small. We had quite a few shops, and when I joined Gerber, it was like I went to school for about 4.5 years. Truthfully, I mean, there's so many things I wish I'd have known when we had our own shops, when it was our family-owned business, because it could have just elevated us and set the stage in so many different ways of things that we had no idea about. So 4.5 years of going to school, it was a great degree, getting it at Gerber University. Again, there's a lot of things they do really, really well. And there's some things that, everybody could all work on to do better. And, I really wanted to get back to the basics of taking care of people and not putting a number on them. And really looking out for their future, for their kids, their families, and their growth in their career. And so that's how going into Brightpoint started, truthfully.
Love it. Love it. Love it. A great journey, a great story. And I think the fun parts really we're at the very beginning stages of it. I think there's a lot of success here and fun story to tell. When you talked about kind of going out, CEO, entrepreneurial, you see a lot of these kind of operating partner led up and coming platforms among private equity. You sort of did that, but you also didn't. You did it very differently. Talk about your partnership and how that all came together.
Yeah, when someone's choosing whether it be a sponsor or some sort of financial backer, I always tell people the biggest thing you need to do is make sure that you are aligned with them on a personal level. Make sure you see the same vision, because there's going to be great days, and there's going to be some challenging times. And I think, again, we'll probably talk through this at some point, but when it gets challenging out there, and that's when you need to communicate the most and need to make sure that you are working with a great team and a great partner who understands it. And so partnering with Southworth, it was, when I met Jeff Presley on the first call, it was like, this is the guy. And strangely enough, I had two other private equity groups I was talking to of doing a starting out founder operated collision roll up. And when I got off the phone, my wife calls me. She goes, "How'd it go?" And I said, "I really hope they call me back." It was kind of that gut feeling of like, this would be really good and it'd be a lot of fun. And sure enough, here we are today. And Jeff, my partner, is just phenomenal. Just great human being. It's a family office, and they just do great things. So.
Very cool. What do you think? And I know it's so tough to kind of probably dial your mindset back to then. What jumped out as the right partner to you? Because that answer is so different to everybody. It's a very personal thing, but when you know it, you kind of know it.
You always go with your gut, right? That first instinct is always the one you should listen to. Where they are, their family office, which I really, really liked, right? And his son works in the office, Clay Presley, and everybody that's been in that office has been with Jeff and Southworth for a very long time. And that tells you a lot about tenure and people being happy where they work. And then the people who you're working with, they enjoy it, right? And so they want to stay, and that longevity is key. And then obviously interacting with them and just the sincerity and the loyalty it just told me everything, and understanding, all the people that work there and meeting some of the folks through some of that, interview and going into the office, the atmosphere, it was just, you knew it was home is really how it felt.
So many conversations across our industry about private equity. I think the world of family office is fascinating, but we don't hear it nearly as much. I think a lot of people might even have questions around what exactly that is. Tell us about what makes a family office different than a more traditional private equity group.
Yeah, private equity. So most of that comes from, a multitude of, it could be, they're seeking their investment and their funds from smaller investment funds that roll up into the larger fund that they've raised. It could be up to $50 million or even $100 million. We don't have a fund for Brightpoint, and so when you look at private equity, the biggest thing for them is you got to put money to work, and you got to get moving and get that money working, right? And so you got to it's quick, it's fast, and sometimes you might do things that you maybe don't want to do, right? But you got to make acquisitions because you got to put the money to work. And timing is everything. And so for us, we're definitely disciplined on how we operate. We're very disciplined on our acquisitions and timing. And we want to make sure when we do the integrations that we do not miss a beat. You get one opportunity with these folks, and you've got to make it last, and you got to make it memorable for them, and not chaos. So.
No doubt. Well put. And I think one benefit and differentiator of family office is the time horizons, not always, but they tend to be at minimum more flexible, at most a lot longer. It's generational wealth, and you hear about decades of kind of focus, not focus on that more traditional 3, 5, 7 year hold. That's often mandated by private equity. So a really interesting differentiator, super cool. Going back to that and having that partner that's allowed you to expand so quickly with phenomenal leadership, no doubt that would not be possible with just the capital. How do you balance that growth while going back to your earlier words of kind of, it's a people business, making sure that that comes first? It's a challenge as scaling companies grow to keep that culture intact. How do you go about it?
Yeah, we've been lucky enough to have a great team of operators join us over the last 18 months to 2 years. People who have done this before in the same scale when we were at Gerber. And so we have a playbook, so to say, that really it's step by step on how we're going to roll out and what we do by phase, and how long are we there for, and what's our process. And we've really been able to fine tune that, especially with the amount of acquisitions we've done over the last 18 months, 2 years. We've really defined that process. And we've learned, we've made some mistakes. I mean, let's face it. I mean, we're still learning as we go with the challenges and the way things change. But I think we've done a very good job of getting it to be relatively seamless and successful through the process.
Love it, man. So love that kind of background. Love hearing the fascinating update on where we are today, and super, super cool to see that side by side of, hey man, 3 brands, 5 stores to this behemoth and super healthy organization you're building. Really fun. I want to zoom out, as this is a SEMA oriented series. I want to talk a bit about SEMA. I want to zoom out a little bit on the industry as a whole, even before we get there. Before we hit record, we were talking about what a unique inflection point this industry is at today. Everyone's talking about claims volume, insurance. Obviously, we just had a very large M&A activity announced in the industry here over the past 24 hours. Where do you see kind of the state of the industry today?
It's super funny. I was on a flight last night. I didn't even know the news broke yet, right? With this,
I was on a flight too. Yeah,
it was luckily I had Wi-Fi, and my phone just like blowing up, and I'm looking at this
same experience, my friend. Same exact experience.
And first thing that came to my mind was like, no way! Like, where are you getting this from? And then I got the Yahoo link, and I'm like, wow. And first of all, congratulations to both of them. That is just that's an amazing partnership, and there's definitely be some heavy lifting, and no better way to do it than with those two teams. So exciting, and congrats for them. It's funny. I saw a friend of mine text me, and he goes, "It's kind of going to be like the Home Depot and the Lowe's here in the next 10 years, right? Like, yeah, it's going to evolve into a couple large groups, and you're going to have some Ace Hardwares out there, but it's going to be a Lowe's and a Home Depot kind of look." And when I saw that, I went, "Yeah, that's probably about right." So
no doubt, fascinating for sure. And I think there are some impacts for the long term that we probably don't want to do too much speculating about until we know more, but very, very interesting. And it comes at a very unique time given the rest of what's happening in the industry. I'll tell you from my perspective, it remains positive. I look back to like 2015, 2016, it felt really negative, but there's no doubt some significant headwinds facing our industry. What are you seeing out there? How do you feel about kind of the state of the industry, given claims volume, insurance relationships at a really unique inflection point? Where's your mindset for the next 3 to 5 years of this industry?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this before, I always put that post in the road or that stake in the ground as like pre-COVID,
Yeah.
and then post-COVID, right? Because there's so many things that took place prior to that. And, if you look, before COVID, I mean, we were all, performing to retain and get additional volume, and we were out selling. That was what we used to do. And then you have COVID, and then the influx of severity. You had some inflation increases through parts and labor, and so all those things, contributed. I will say it will come back around. The insurance has shifted. There is a lot of things that have played a role in it. I think volume is down across the board. We all know that. Everybody talks about it. I think that it's going to come back, and the insurance companies, I think, are going to work hard to reduce their rates to get back out there and be competitive. You've got a lot of big insurance companies that used to be top 3, and now they're like number 8. And then you've got some that were number 4 and they're number 1. And so I'm hoping that they'll be able to get more aggressive, and some of these tariffs will start to reduce, and they can reduce their underwriting and reduce the amount of expense for insurance, and get some of the folks back to not being scared to put claims through and get their cars fixed. So
right on. We're having so many different factors hitting at the same time. You do have tariffs, you do have some macro question marks, you have the insurance company dynamics and the jockeying for position there. You also have technology. And my question for you, I think this is a pretty polarizing topic, but are we seeing the impact finally on some of these collision avoidance systems playing a role, even a small one, in the decreased claims volume?
I think you might see a slight impact from that. There's still a huge human element to all of these devices, number one. And number two, I think, with how fast the volume shifted for us, you would have to have seen the consumer purchases have this massive shift over that course for it all to hit us in this 12-month period, I'd say. And that didn't happen. And so I think you're seeing a little bit of it from the collision avoidance, but I think a lot of it is just due to what's happening in the economy and where folks are at. And when people get nervous, they just do nothing, right? When they get scared, everybody stops. And I think that's where we're at today. And I think as things settle down and consumer confidence increases, I think you'll start to see it get back to a little more usual. I don't think it'll ever get back to what it was from that overcapacity standpoint, but I would bet you we start to see a good increase over the next 3 months to 6 months is what my guess is.
Man, I am hearing the industry having a ton of bullishness around Q1 2026. And there's reasons for it. Maybe it's a gut feel. Maybe there's some data to support it, but that's a resounding theme. And I like where we're trending here. We talked about some of the negatives. I want to flip the script. We have SEMA coming up at the time of this recording next week. At the time of folks listening to this, we'll be at SEMA live and in person. As an industry, though, heading into this, obviously a very exciting, fun week, what gives you the most optimism about where this industry is headed? Where do you view the opportunities lying?
Yeah, I think, to be where we're at, I think is we've come a long way in the last 5 to 8 years, right? Technology, you've got the internet has made this world so much smaller, and there's so much more education going around. I think that the collision space is headed in a good direction. Some people will probably say it's not, right? But when you put money into the space and you start to put more educational purpose out there and training, it's going to be better for everybody. Especially with ADAS calibration and the advancement. I think AI is no joke, and it's coming, and it's here to stay here real quick. So I think that's exciting. I think we're headed in the right direction, to be completely honest with you.
Love it, man. Nope. I'm with you, but I'm an eternal optimist. So I want to be, gut checked on occasion as well. So I'm happy to hear we're on the same page. Let's talk SEMA. A lot to be excited for. I leave every week both exhausted and energized, and I anticipate no different here. Technology, seeing everybody in one place together as an industry. It's super cool. Outside of coffee with between you and I on Tuesday morning, what are you most looking forward to out at SEMA?
Yeah, it's to your point. It's great to get everybody in a short radius. Number one, that's my hometown. That's my spot, right? And so it's always good to get back and see familiar faces. But it's always good to really get together with people and just kind of just talk openly, right? And not in this kind of really set business format, and you get to some of these after parties or cocktail hours and just kind of let loose and just be open and talk and have a great time. I think it creates relationships, which I think is the most important thing in this business. And if you look back, probably, I don't know, man, it's probably been, for me, it's been 15 plus years. There's been partners that were at one insurance company and now they are at a different insurance company at some other level, right? And they've all elevated themselves up to VPs, and which is really fascinating to see and watch the growth there. And I'm really looking forward to getting together with a lot of people and chatting about the business. There's plenty of it to go around, so there's no need to not share information, in my opinion.
Oh, right on, man. How do you typically spend your time out in Vegas? We have a lot of collision repair centric events, of course. You got all the paint companies, the equipment providers throwing some after hours activities. You got walking the show floor. Where do you typically kind of focus while out at SEMA?
Yeah, I definitely get out to the NABC. Got to give out the car giveaway. That's always amazing to be a part of. Number two is I like to get in the equipment, see what's coming. Though it's on the horizon, what everybody's looking at. You definitely don't want to be last to the party on technology, and so that's a big one for us. Those are probably the two places I spend majority of my time, and then after that, it's usually it's meetings and setting up lunches or coffee dates, so to say, right, with friends and partners.
Right on, man. I'm with you. Last year, we had way too many meetings to where I spent about an hour on the show floor, which was a travesty. We're working it better because there's nothing cooler than getting to take a peek at the equipment, getting to take a peek at all the innovation. And oh, by the way, there's some super cool cars right there to distract from business as well. But always a fantastic time. No, beautiful, man. CIC, great event. There's the MSO Symposium, which is always great. SCRS, NABAC, so much to do that if you're listening to this and you're not out at SEMA this year, stay tuned for some recaps. However, make sure you go next year. This is, if you want a finger on the pulse of the collision repair industry, the broader automotive world, which I think is really valuable. If we're not paying attention to what's happening in OE innovation and innovation in other subsectors of automotive, we're going to be left behind. And this allows you to make sure that does not happen. So big advocate for SEMA. Now, we just talked a lot about a lot of things, but at the end of the day, the collision vision is about giving operators, aspiring leaders, current leaders, some actionable takeaways. So I want to paint a little bit of a scenario here for you. If you're an operator listening to this and you're looking to scale your business, you look at yours as a perfect case study for that, an amazing story of scale. What are the one or two kind of fundamental moves you should be making to build that foundation that can support that scale?
Team is everything. You hear me talk about this all the time, and the people. You got to surround yourself with the right people, the same team that'll run alongside you. That's number one. If you're a single shop owner, and touching on this is important. If you're a single shop owner, it's very important to make sure that the current shop you have runs smoothly. If you're the owner that has to take a week off and the shop falls apart in a week, there's no chance you're going to have success in a second location or a third or a fourth, right? And so that's first steps. And then just making sure financially you're sound. I mean, I think a lot of people look at it with the expectation that we saw within the last 3 years where, there's some groups that went out and purchased 3, 4, 5 shops, and things have changed and cash flow has really gotten tight. And it's put a lot of strain on a lot of folks, even the independents, which is very unfortunate to see because we still need those independents out there. I think that's important. So.
No question. Great sound advice, man. You're someone who's living it. You're someone who's seen it from so many cool angles, right? The family business to the large national consolidator to this family office backed CEO with a tremendous growth story. I always get fired up every time we connect, and very much appreciate your time today. You've been generous. Geez. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in person next week out at SEMA as well. For folks who want to get in touch and learn more about your story, learn more about Brightpoint, where can they go about doing that?
Yeah, they can go on our LinkedIn page. I mean, I've always been, happy to share and guide some folks through it. I mean, I think there's plenty of business for everybody to go around, right? And so there's no real trade secrets to this business because everybody can do it and everybody knows about it. But yeah, reach out to me on LinkedIn. More than happy to help. If I can give advice, it's free advice from me, and whether it's good or bad, but that'll be your opinion on that. So
I love it. I love it. Well, I will include some of those links here in the show notes as well to make that easy for folks. And man, really appreciate your time. Congratulations on the continued growth and success. And thank you for joining us here on the Collision Vision.
Thanks, Cole. Congrats on the baby, by the way, man.
Thank you for that. We'll see you at SEMA.
All right, brother. We'll see you.
That wraps up this episode of the Collision Vision. A big thank you to Paul Williams for sharing his insights on strategic growth, partnership selection, industry challenges, and what's ahead. I find Paul's positivity to be addicting. I find him to be one of the most pleasant people across our entire industry and a wealth of knowledge as well. So if you got some value from this episode or any others, please feel free to leave us a review. Go ahead and give us a rate and a follow, and share this episode with someone in your network. As always, stay tuned for more episodes from our SEMA series and beyond. And as always, on behalf of the Auto Body News team, myself, thank you for coming along for the ride.